proved to get around that. I think when you look at the front three today for Newcastle, so Maximin, Isaac, Almiron, it's you're looking at that thinking, just get the ball to them quickly, just bypass the midfield, get it up to them and let them do their stuff.
And we are underway with Newcastle shooting from left to right. Sean Longstaff was the man to take kickoff. Worth noting that the two sets of players on this assigned weekend by the Premier League took the knee. There is no room for racism, the continuation of that campaign. And Newcastle attacking in their white jerseys with green shorts. Their chain strip and white socks today. Bournemouth in their red and black, shooting from right to left and yet to have a kick. And this is exactly what you thought would happen, Dave, although Newcastle have only really gone backwards and sideways so far.
Yeah, still early days. I do think that, once this settles down and everybody has a little touch of the ball, I think this is actually an Eddie Howe used to do this with Bournemouth. Get the ball, give everybody a touch early on, usually going back to the goalkeeper. And it's quite smart. It's quite a smart thing to do. And draw the opposition out and set the tempo for the game.
It's hardly an intimidating atmosphere, generally, Bournemouth. It's a rather nice club to visit. And then when you're Eddie Howe on top of it, what a reception you would always expect him to receive. 0-0, minute gone. Nothing really of note to tell you about, to be honest with you. But it is a free kick which Newcastle's Fabian Schär has taken, moved it to the left for Dan Burn, the Newcastle supporting defender. There's a nice little give and go, and they come forward to Isak, who briefly looked like he was getting behind Senesi there. He's held him up, turned him, and moved it away to Jefferson Lerma, and Bournemouth have it over on the right-hand side, and here's Smith. Smith plays it up towards Solanke. Big physical battle there with Botman, which the former Lille man won. It then comes all the way back to Nick Pope, and this extraordinary Newcastle defence continues to keep clean sheets. You want to hazard a guess to how many teams in the top 5 European leagues have conceded fewer goals than Newcastle this year?
Oh, I'm going to say none of them.
Just the one.
Just one.
Barcelona. Who amazingly have only conceded 7. But of course they are a little bit behind in Spain, having had an extra break after the World Cup briefly. Newcastle with 12 goals conceded in the league so far this season, and midpoint of Bournemouth's half, over on the right hand side, it's Trippier, gives it to Isak, gets it back, now moves it on down the right hand side, and the fight between Longstaff and Zemura is won by Zemura, and it's a throw in the left back position for Bournemouth, which the aforementioned Zimbabwean will take.
I think what's been really impressive about Newcastle is that many of these players were there already when Eddie Howe got there, and he's just got probably another 50% out of. I mean, Joe Linton is just absolutely reborn.
I mean, I'm not sure I remember a player having quite such a transformation in Premier League era, frankly, from sort of nothing to. I mean, he was a bit of a laughing stock, wasn't he? 40 million from Hoffenheim as a striker, couldn't score, and they went, well, all right, we're going to try you as a midfielder. And nobody saw it coming, did they?
It's fantastic coaching. And equally, if you were going to say, OK, we'll take Joe Linton out as the most improved, who's the next one in the league? You'd probably say Almiron on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just remarkable.
Anyone tell me in Premier League era if they can think of a player more improved in such a short space of time than Joe Linton? At TalkSport Live is our Twitter account for you to join the conversation. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Who has gone from zero to hero? I mean, he'd have left the club and nobody would have been upset. It would have been that simple if they'd wanted to get rid of him. I think.
Yeah, that's true. I've gone from hero to zero quite often, but never the other way around.
I've only ever stayed zero from the start, so you're doing all right. Just to have been a hero is nice. You are a hero to many, including me, helping me along today. At TalkSport Live to join in that conversation and also predict your results for today's game. Tell us where you think these two sides will finish at the end of the season, and maybe whether you feel Gary O'Neill will remain Bournemouth coach as we now at the end of the campaign. Plenty to talk about on at TalkSport Live. Join in the conversation with us and with each other. We love having you along. Isak has the ball taken off of his toes by Billing, who's backtracking. The rangy, tall midfielder. And Bournemouth pass it out from the back. And here's Lerma looking to play the ball into the channel. It's just a bit too much there for Dominic Solanke, and it's through to Nick Pope, who comes and claims and must, talking of claims, have a claim to be Jordan Pickford's replacement for England, such as his form at the moment. Trippier has it on the right-hand side for Newcastle. 0-0, very nearly 5 minutes on the clock. And Cher plays it back to Trippier, up the line, right-hand side for Almiron. He takes the ball out of play. I'm not quite sure what he was claiming there, Miguel Almiron. The Paraguayan has only given away the throw-in and was never going to get anything else. Top scorer, Almiron, this season for Newcastle. And again, you just never would have ever expected to be able to say that about him unless he was their first goal scorer of the season. 9 so far.
I agree with you on Nick Pope. I was watching an interview with him actually the other day, and he just came across as a real lovely, genuine fella.
Yes.
And I mean, they say goalkeepers are a rare breed. That must make him a really rare breed.
Was there a foul there on Ouattara? It would have been soft. I think that's one of those that you might have got abroad, Ouattara, but not on that particular occasion. Spent huge amounts in the January transfer window, did Bournemouth. 2 of the signings that they made, Ouattara and Zabarnyi, who they're still waiting, the Ukrainian centre-half, to make his debut. Still injured, Zabarnyi, but 2 of those in their top 3 all-time biggest signings. So plenty of cash to be spent by the new owner, Bill Foley, as there's a foul challenge there by Lerma on Willock. Didn't get anything of the ball.
No, I think he's just come across, tried to put a leg across Willock to block him off because the ball's running out of play, and I think actually just caught Willock on the.
Yeah, it should have been a foul, and it's been ended up as a throw into Bournemouth, which is a really poor decision, to be honest with you, as Newcastle pick it up and work it out to the right-hand side, and it's Trippier who will collect. I think he just wanted that into his path so he could burst onto it. Didn't quite work for him that way. Comes in field to Almiron. There's a poor touch there by Trippier briefly. Challenge came in by Jadon Anthony. It bounces off of the Englishman's shin, and Trippier takes the throw. Back he comes to Fabian Cher. Now Botman. Left-footed ball low out to the far side where it's picked up by Sam Maximan. Very nearly given away there, but Solanke couldn't get there ahead of Botman, and Newcastle spread it towards Trippier. There was a bit of a miscommunication there between Trippier and Almiron, but Joe Linton will come and clear it up, but then in backheeling the ball to try and keep possession, he gave it away, although it's poorly given away by Traore. And through to Cher, and here is Botman again.
You see that Joe Linton does that so well, just coming across, sweeping up. I'd love to have known what the conversation was when someone suggested to him, "Let's try you in midfield."
Yeah,
it's just fascinating how that's panned out.
Maybe he'd realised by his goal scoring record he wasn't a striker.
Which is at this point I'll play anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's always had energy. You know, he was able to play a sort of deep lying striking role alongside Kramaric at Hoffenheim, and it worked beautifully. Yeah. So he's always had that sort of anticipation and movement. But like you, I don't know if I'd have expected him to be able to do the sort of sweeping and that we just saw there, the anticipation. And
yeah, it doesn't happen very often. Alan Smith, I remember at United, did it pretty well, but it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah. You see strikers go into defence a bit, don't you? Dwight Gale did it, didn't he?
I think you go down the league.
Sorry, Marcus Gale. Marcus Gale did it. Here's Solanke for Bournemouth, though, and he might be able to slip in the ball to Traore. Just doesn't quite manage to take it, as it was drilled towards him, and he's tackled there by Cher, but that's nicely done by Zamora, is it? No, he's fouled Almiron, and it's a free kick.
I think Almiron might have bought there, so I thought he got to the ball.
Yeah, I wondered.
Yeah.
It looked good to me initially. Trippier sort of played it into him. He got plenty of man as well as ball, I think, but we haven't quite seen the angle of replay that would have shown us. Maybe this is it's a great tackle by Zamora.
Zamora gets the ball. I think Almiron's bought
He's rolled around about 5 times. I'm not sure how much he got touched. That was embarrassing, frankly, by Almiron. 9 minutes gone. Bournemouth 0, Newcastle 0. Free kick from midpoint of their own half, inside right position. Longstaff, hero of the League Cup semi-final, of course, scoring twice in the home leg. Newcastle have it at the back with Byrne. Byrne's ball to Alain Saint-Maximin, laid off quickly to Joe Linton. Up towards halfway they come. Longstaff nearly didn't take it with him, but he's now allowed it to go to Joe Linton. Up to Almiron. Trippier's ball in, takes a deflection, in fact blocked behind really by Senesi, and it's a corner for Newcastle, first one of the game.
Oh, and it's a great run from Almiron, actually, because he takes the defender away from him. It leaves a huge gap. It's a right ball to play, just not played accurately enough. That was very, very dangerous from Newcastle.
The worst defence in the Premier League, the worst at defending set pieces in the Premier League, has to defend Newcastle's set piece here, with one of the best set piece takers in the league in Kieran Trippier. There's the delivery, deep towards the back post, headed towards goal. And that's well wide. Is it Cher that got on the end of that?
Yeah, it's difficult when it's that when the ball is that high and floaty. It's hard to generate any real power on it.
Yeah, he's usually a bit better than that, I think, isn't he, Trippier, to be fair, with his deliveries. But he's got all types of deliveries. And Cher did get up well, but it's very difficult against Billing as well. As that looked, just for a moment, it looked a bit short, the back pass to Neto, but he's cleared it away ahead of Almiron. And Newcastle have it again in midfield. And you can just tell the difference, maybe in confidence, by the way these two sides have started. Bournemouth are happy to let Newcastle onto them, but they're having a decent go themselves here. Solanke again made himself an opportunity for a potentially dangerous pass, but he couldn't quite pull it off. And there's Senesi coming back across to Stevens, and on loan from Southampton. What we could have done with him, to be honest with you, this season, Southampton.
I think Bournemouth's plan here seems to be get the ball into Solanke, get him on it with good ball at his feet, turn and get runners beyond him, see if he can slide one in. He's tried it a couple of times. He's come very, very close.
And the ball forward is headed away by Botman. Picked up over on that right-hand side by Bournemouth, and now here's Anthony with an opportunity to get forward. He's managed to work it onto Zamora. Zamora 5-6 yards shy of the edge of the 18-yard box. Anthony, Billing, Zamora. This is nice by Bournemouth, really nice. Zamora again takes it to the byline, checks, turns, gets the cross into the centre of the box, and unfortunately for Bournemouth there was nobody attacking it, and Newcastle head out to the near side, but it's given away poorly by Almiron this time. Traore, Lerma, Solanke tries to slide it through again. It wouldn't quite come off for them. Couldn't find Ouattara, but Bournemouth having a good spell here. Billing into Anthony. Header towards goal, and Pope had to get towards it. That's a lovely effort by Solanke, just guiding it towards the corner. And Pope, it looked for a moment like he got down a bit too late, but he scampers across to his left-hand side and pushes it behind for Bournemouth's corner.
Ouattara was coming in behind him. It looked like he had a better chance. I was thinking he was just taking it off his head, but actually gets a really good header to it, Solanke. And if Pope wasn't about 12 feet tall, that is nestling in the far corner. Great passage of play for Bournemouth.
Here comes the corner, drilled into the box. Good header away that by Dan Bird, wearing the number 33. Alain Saint-Maximin chases it, but it's never going to get anywhere near it, even a speedster like him. And it's a throw-in for Bournemouth.
Brilliant play. Brilliant play. It will please Gary O'Neill, and especially when you think we've only had 13 minutes played, and Solanke has had the ball at his feet, being able to slide players in 3 times already.
Here's Senesi again, the Argentine. By Stevens to his goalkeeper Neto. Argentine and a Brazilian working together in defence for Bournemouth. Trippier beats Zamora to that one, but it's headed away by Bournemouth. Then Joe Linton and Solanke fighting for it. That's a lovely little pass by Joe Linton, and it's worked out to the far side for Newcastle by Willock. Saint-Maximin tries to get it into the box, but it's too many black and red shirts around him, and Solanke comes and picks up, and that's a lovely turn by Ouattara. Sold Joe Linton the dummy. Ouattara, centre of the field, tries to slip it through to Solanke. He tried the reverse ball. It was a far easier one onto Jayden Anthony, but he didn't try to find, did Ouattara, and it bobbles through via a deflection to Nick Pope.
Well, there's 2 ways that Newcastle can handle this, and they need to sort it out, because the amount of players for Bournemouth getting it in between the D on the edge of the box and the D in midfield, it's happened about 4 or 5 times now. You can either send a centre-half in to deal with it and go tight, or tell the midfield to buck their ideas up, but they've got to do something.
Basically, they're missing Bruno Guimaraes, right?
They are.
It's that simple. That's his job.
Huge Guimaraes-shaped hole in this Newcastle midfield.
There really is. It's exactly his job. And Sean Longstaff, for all of his qualities, and as a local lad, you know, no Newcastle fan will begrudge him his time and place in the team. But he is not, I think personally, and I know this is a big phrase that I don't like to use too much, a world-class talent like Guimaraes, which for me, I think he is. Out to the far side by Solanke, got that pass wrong. Newcastle come away with it. Saint-Maximin fighting, and he briefly did get away. Saint-Maximin looks so different with his new haircut, doesn't he? The number of times I've sort of not been quite sure who that player is over on the far side in his first 15 minutes. And it's it certainly helped identify him. I mean, I of all people that can't judge other people's haircuts, it's me.
Well, it's me also. I mean, let's be honest.
But just in terms of being able to identify him, that little flowing hair was so much better. Oh, the ball has managed to break to the edge of the box for Newcastle there, and Cher Span had an opportunity to shoot towards goal. He's got it all wrong, and then so did Bournemouth in clearing it. Joe Linton, 25 yards from goal. Across it goes to Saint-Maximin, and there's taken off his toes, and then Ouattara tries to get away. Willett gets in, and then I think Ouattara, lying on the ground, has actually managed to tackle Smith, but it looked like he was going to get away, and they crossed it to Almiron. Almiron up towards Saint-Maximin, back to Almiron on the right-hand side. That takes a deflection forward. Almiron chases. Now Trippier's ball in field is inside the box to Longstaff. He floats across in. Good header away there by Stevens. And then Newcastle play the ball forward. Neto's going to just make sure that it doesn't go behind. And I'm not quite sure what it is that Longstaff is having a moan about. But there was plenty to talk about in that move without an awful lot of quality.
Well, the first thing to say with Longstaff is that he gets great ball in that area. He just has to hang it up to the far post. It's a huge area to hit. Let Isak come on and attack it, and he gets it wrong. He hits the defender. Then I think he's appealing for a handball. But it got to the point where everyone was appealing for everything.
Yeah, they really were. Just to go back to the Guimaraes statistics, it's amazing, really. 17 games that he's played, they've won 10. 4 without, they've won none. Goals per game with 1.8, without 0.8, so a whole goal a game extra. 0.5 goals conceded per game with him, 1 goal conceded per game without, so double. And then they actually face 6 more shots, more than 6 more shots per game without him. 15.5 per game without Bruno Guimaraes, 9.4 with. That's the difference we're talking.
Yeah,
that's the influence. Not sure there would be many in either squad that you'd miss more. Ball is with Botman at the back for Newcastle to Cher. Cher's ball forward on the angle was cut out by Stevens. Anywhere will do. Out of play, in fact, is where it goes. As we see one of the Newcastle substitutes, Anthony Gordon, warming up. In fact, worth us giving you the benches for Bournemouth. It's Mark Travers, the goalkeeper. Ryan Fredericks, he's deemed fit today enough for the bench after injury. Chris Mepham, Ryan Christie, Joe Rothwell, Marcus Tavernier also back after an injury trouble. Matthias Vigna, as Bournemouth come forward down the right-hand side. Oh, Ouattara with a crossing opportunity, and he completely scuffed it. Newcastle were able to get it away. The rest of the Bournemouth bench, Kiefer Moore and Antoine Semenyo. Newcastle, Martin Dubravka, the goalkeeper. Paul Dummett, Anthony Gordon, as Kieran Trippier plays the ball up towards Isak, and Bournemouth deal with it. Matt Ritchie, Jamal Lewis, Ryan Fraser, Jacob Murphy, Elliot Anderson, and a young 16-year-old Lewis Miley on the bench for the first time for Newcastle. What a moment that must be. As Bournemouth play the ball forward, and Solanke went in with Botman. I thought there was a foul in there, or at least I thought the referee would give a foul, and he has done. Pope came and cleared his lines anyway.
Just that could have been nasty for a minute there. When you get a little nudge like that, yes, just as your keeper's coming out.
He'd have hit Pope. Yeah. Take the point. He's a big old bruiser, isn't he, Botman? He looks it. He's got the face of a defender. If you can have such a thing.
Well, if Botman and Pope clash into each other, it ain't going to end well, is it? Let's be honest, they're huge, the pair of them. And I think Bournemouth need to recognise this as well, because they've tried to hit quite a few balls in the air up to Solanke, and it's just being gobbled up by the land of the giants back there.
Yeah. That looks given away by Newcastle again, but the ball in field to Traore was just a little ahead of him, and on the stretch, he couldn't left-footed divert it back to Ouattara. This 22-year-old Ivory Coast forward. As the ball is played into the channel for Isak. He's got him behind Zamora here. Isak checks it, holds it. Zamora gets a touch, corner to Newcastle. He just needed to pull the trigger, Isak, and he never felt settled.
Oh,
Was he even offside?
I
Yes,
think
he is.
He's
Jack
definitely on.
Stevens.
Yeah, Jack Stevens takes an age to step up. It's the second touch. I don't think he needs it. I think the touch and you shoot. You can't get it. You
you're
can't.
absolutely right.
You cannot afford to take your time to try and get it perfectly in front of the goal. You're a striker. You have to get your shots off.
Only 3 goals so far for Isak for Newcastle in the Premier League. As Trippier readies this corner from the near side, the right. Header away by Bournemouth. Comes back to Trippier. There's the delivery to the back post and headed behind safely by Jack Stevens. Already the third corner of the game for Newcastle. Bournemouth have dealt with the first 2 pretty comfortably. Trippier will try again, but this time from the far side, the Newcastle left, the in swing.
Yeah, this will be interesting because Trippier can really, really whip these in. This is the first in swing up. For me, I would just throw all of my big men right across the front post and try. All you need is a touch. You don't have to be clever here.
The burn is there, of course, and he's taking it short. Comes back to Trippier. There's the delivery. In it goes beyond Isak, headed away by Stevens. Picked up and moved towards the near side by Newcastle. It's absolutely woeful. It's behind everybody by Longstaff, and that's going to be a throw in for Bournemouth at the midpoint of their own half.
I mean, you've got one of the best crosses of a football in the world. You've got about 4 or 5 guys who are 6 foot plus, well over 6 foot, and you take a short corner. I mean, what's happening there?
In relation to our conversation earlier about players that have drastically improved, I actually wondered whether we'd hear this name, and for me, it's not quite, in fact, it's nowhere near as close in terms of improvement as Joe Linton, but Alex Iwobi has been mentioned by Joe Sassler. Says tremendous turnaround. Enjoying listening from Raleigh in North Carolina. I think the Cherries will nick a draw. Well, they're worth more than that, I'd say, at this moment in time.
Yeah, they've had the best chance of the game, and they seem to be working harder than Newcastle. They haven't been as good as without the ball as Newcastle, with the ball rather.
Share out to Almiron on the right-hand side. Again, just little moments of carelessness that we're seeing from Newcastle. Joe Linton, he wasn't punished. It ran to Botman. Another poor ball forward, this time by Trippier, and back helping out. I mean, talking working hard. Solanke, on 2 or 3 occasions now, has picked up the ball in the sort of defensive third, the attacking edge of it, albeit, but still back helping out in his own half, and then the ball is fired off of Joe Willock over on that far side. It ricochets away for a throw into Bournemouth, and we are exactly at the midpoint of this first 45 minutes. It is Bournemouth 0, Newcastle 0, with only one real chance of note. That Dominic Solanke flicked header that Nick Pope managed to scramble across and save. A little push there in the midfield by Almiron, gets punished. And it is Billing who wins the free kick. Scandinavian midfielder, who seems to divide opinion, Billing. Some people love him and some people think he's absolutely awful. I mean, it's probably somewhere in the middle, as with most of these things. But in fairness, he's sort of got a bit of everything. He will get you a goal once in a while. He'll do the defensive work. He's played striker this season at various points for Bournemouth, believe it or not. So, they obviously see plenty in him at Bournemouth.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a great thing about football. There's a role for everybody. We're not all as technically gifted as the Neymars of this world, but you have to be. You bring very different attributes to a team. That's how you build a team. I think he does a job. I think he's had a pretty decent career thus far.
Billing, not Neymar, says Dave Kitson.
In shock.
Almiron, that's a good little touch down the right-hand side for Isak. Isak checks back onto his left foot, struggles to keep his balance, finds Trippier, ball in, behind by Senesi, corner Newcastle.
Yeah, and it's not the first time this has happened on this pitch. I played here a long time ago. I don't know what it's like now, but it's always been a really slow pitch that cuts up very, very easily. And it seems to be doing that still today.
Be the salt in the air, I'd have
thought.
I
was just thinking that, but I didn't want to go that far.
Yeah, no, I think that is a genuine thing. I mean, cars rust, don't they, on the south coast? So if we can affect
my
cars.
career did.
Wow. Here's the corner from Trippier, in it goes. Another one defended away well by Bournemouth so far. Ooh, did he handle that? That looked to me like Trippier caught that ball before it went out of play. And I think that's what they give. That's a deliberate handball, isn't it?
I don't think I've ever seen that.
He definitely caught it before it went out of play, didn't he?
I don't know whether he's given offside here.
I think he has given offside, which is very, very lucky for Kieran Trippier because, of course, the offside offence occurs when the pass is played. And maybe Trippier knew that, in fairness to him. It looked to me, though, like he was getting himself ready to take a throw.
That is bizarre.
Genuinely, I don't think the ball was.
Given the benefit
I don't
of the
think
doubt.
the whole of the ball was out. But as you say, the offside flag I think has gone up against him, and that's why he's sort of got away with that one. But that to me was a deliberate handball for which you could get a yellow card.
That would be harsh. You're a harsh man.
Rules is rules, mate. Good job, I'm not Howard Webb, eh? Here is Bournemouth coming forward on the halfway line with Zamora down the left-hand side, and it's just in field by Anthony. That's well won back by Solanke. Lerma to Ouattara, tried to get it on quickly to Traore, wouldn't quite work, but they get it back again. Ouattara to Solanke, inside right position, fancies a shot, goes for goal, hits Burn, ricochets away to Sam Maximan. It'll be picked up by Traore on the right-hand side, though. Traore with Willock with him. He's done brilliantly as Willock there. Really, really good upper body strength to take the ball away from Traore. Finds Burn. Burn fires it off of Solanke. It goes behind. It's a goal kick to Newcastle.
Yeah, and he looked across the line there, and the whole back four are applauding Willock for his effort there. It makes a big difference. You have a midfielder that's helping you out like that.
Well, they need it as a team if they haven't got it in the individual of Bruno. We'll end up keeping on talking about Bruno, and it's not, we're just missing him because we like him. He's such a key cog to the way that Newcastle do things. So they do need to work as a team, I think, to cover for that individual's absence. Here's Joe Linton on the left-hand side, just short of the halfway line. He comes square via Longstaff to Cher, who's moved into the Bournemouth half. But for a moment, like Senesi was going to get there first, but good burst of pace over the first 3 yards there by Isak. Here's Almiron. Almiron to Trippier. Trippier tries the little reverse ball to Longstaff, won't quite work. Bournemouth come away with it. And here comes Zamora, manages to ride a challenge by Almiron. On it goes towards Solanke. Zamora takes over. Solanke goes wide. Here he is. Into Anthony. Anthony turning. Scorer of the only goal Bournemouth have scored since the World Cup, Jayden Anthony, in the 1-1 draw against Nottingham Forest in their last home game. He's in possession again now, attacking, and he'll shoot. And you could see what he was trying to do. He made a little angle for himself, and he was trying to use the player to bend it around him and into the far corner, but he's got his toes under the ball, really, and it's bent away from goal.
Yeah, I think,
behind it goes for the goal kick, but that was good again from Bournemouth.
I think he's tried to hit the ball like, how Ronaldo used to take free kicks. Yes. He's tried to put a bit of wobble on it, and that you think you're in such a great position. Just concentrate on getting it on target.
Well, there's intrigue. It may not be, in terms of chances, the most dramatic match of the season so far, but given the story around these two sides at the moment and the Eddie Howe narrative, there is definitely a surprise in the way this game has been played so far. As Longstaff gives the ball away, I'll tell you what, I'd rather have Billing than Longstaff on this performance. And Billing's coming forward again, and of course he then fires it against the defender. That's the curse of the commentator, but Bournemouth pick up the loose ball. Anthony to Billing, down towards the byline, tries to cross, blocked away off of Trippier.
He's done well, Billing, there. Really, really well. And it's sort of the sort of thing you want to see a bit more of from his game. When he drives out like that, he's got such a long stride. He can leave players in his wake, but obviously they want him in there to try and soak up that pressure when Trippier's got the ball and he's playing that ball into Isak. Billing's cut it out a number of times. He's struggling to get up the pitch, but when he does, he looks a real presence.
Can Bournemouth do what Newcastle have failed repeatedly and actually get someone of their own colour on the end of a corner? Here's the delivery. They can! And they take the lead! It was flicked off the near post and smacked home at the far by Marcos Senesi. And Bournemouth really have shocked Newcastle and their old manager Eddie Howe with a set piece of their own. It's Marcos Senesi. It's absolutely massive. And is the shock on? Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 0.
Well, we asked why Newcastle didn't put the ball into the box where they got the land of the Giants, and we've just seen why you actually do. It's straight off the training ground. It's a great corner. A flick on, he's onside. I thought that was going to go to VAR. I couldn't see it right from the start. It's a simple flick on. No one's picking him up at the far post. It's Senesi, and I think they're worthy of this scoreline. I think they've been by far the better team.
It was Lerma's flick on, and it was Senesi with his first goal for the club. Just shy of the half hour. And we talked about the narrative and perhaps the story. Well, this is really turning into a story now. What a moment that is for Gary O'Neill and for Bournemouth.
It's horrible, horrible marking. I mean, Newcastle have been decent on set pieces at both ends all season, and you've let the centre-half just make a clean run, haven't laid a glove on him, and let him tap it in on the far post. Someone has let their team down there.
Long ball forward from the start by Cher towards Trippier. Drops to Almiron on the chest. Here's Longstaff. Trippier. Remember, Newcastle, the draw specialists, will have really felt they had an opportunity today. They could go third if they win this game, but 1-0 down at the moment. Almiron, Trippier's ball in. Easy one for Neto, who goes down like it's the 92nd minute when he claims that one on his goal line. That time wasting already. Every second counts, I guess.
Well, I think Trippier is seeing so much of the ball, isn't he? But
He always does, though, doesn't
he? He really is. He's trying. I can't tell whether his crossing hasn't been as accurate as it might normally be, or whether or not they're just not making the runs for him.
Yeah. Ball forward by Bournemouth. Traore won't get on the end of it, but then there's a Newcastle player that's been poleaxed. It's Sven Botman, who stayed down holding his face. But totally sure what happened there. I think it was just two players going for the ball, was it? It's Botman and Solanke. Oh, dearie me. Is there a foul there? I mean, he had his arm down, did Solanke, and it came alongside, is probably the best way I could put it. Botman's head.
There may have been
I guess if there's contact and you go down, does that count as a free kick?
It may have been
Botman. Are you talking about?
No, I'm just. He may have caught sort of a rogue finger in the eye, Botman there, but he'll be all right. He's big and strapping.
Yeah, as we see the goal again, it's Senesi who managed to lose Isak, I think it was, at the back post to score.
I mean, if you're a striker trying to mark in the box and you're not confident you can defend very well, you just hold them. You just hold them and you just stop them running.
Yeah. Botman's going to be okay. Willock's getting some tape around the bottom of his thigh. And Eddie Howe has got a decision to make.
He looks thoroughly fed up.
Almost looks like he's been crying, doesn't he, for a moment?
Looks like he can't believe what he's seeing.
Well, neither can many of us, if we're completely honest. You know, I mean, I had this down as a relatively comfortable 2-0 away win as Bournemouth looked to get through again. Didn't quite come for the striker Solanke, but the second ball picked up by Traore. Lerma now moves it out to Ouattara on his left foot. Solanke gets his head to it, just falling backwards as he did, and then therefore could only guide it down into the ground and straight at Nick Pope.
Oh, it's a dream of a cross. It's one of those crosses where you know the keeper can't come for this. It's just a little bit too far away from him, but it's still going into a really dangerous area. It's maybe just a couple of inches too high for Solanke. He's backpedaling and therefore he can't get the power. Gets a fairly decent touch, but it's straight at Pope. But Bournemouth, they look dangerous.
I've written down 4 chances in this match so far, all of them for Bournemouth. That's been the balance.
Yeah, apart from Isak running in and taking a bad second touch, he didn't even get the shot away.
No, exactly. That's nice by Isak towards Almiron, but very difficult for him to try and get the pass back to Isak. He was dealt with by Stevens. And here's Solanke. He's been absolutely superb, as Dominic Solanke so far, holding up, getting involved in play, dropping deep. He's sort of, I don't don't get me wrong, I'm not comparing him to this man. I'm just talking about the role he's playing is a bit Kane-esque, isn't it? From Spurs.
Yeah. And that makes it really, really difficult to pick up. He's coming into some pockets that are really, really difficult where, we said it before, the midfield don't know whether to drop deep on him, and the centre-halves don't know whether to go tight to him.
No.
And so no one's doing anything.
It'd be interesting to know whether that's something that Gary O'Neill has done. He's actually said to him, do you know what? They've not got Guimaraes. There's space there.
I certainly would have. Knowing Gary, he certainly would have identified that.
Yeah. You're not missing any action, by the way, because Joe Willock is down and he is not going to be able to continue. And so we're going to see the early appearance of Anthony Gordon. And I think Newcastle fans will be quite pleased about this, won't they? Because, you make a big signing like that, £45 million. You think to yourself, okay, this is your opportunity. We want to see you play, and he's going to get well over half the match.
Yeah, and in the context of the game as well, it might work in Newcastle's favour. Willock has been brilliant defensively, but he hasn't managed to get forward. And Gordon, I think, he's all about offence, isn't he? He's just going to take the game. He likes to dribble with the ball. He's quick.
And he's gone straight in to, I think it's sort of going to become a bit more of a 4-2-3-1, isn't he? He's going to play in the 10, directly behind Isak, with Joe Linton and Longstaff as the sort of midfield pairing behind, which makes a bit of sense because they do need that defensive cover. Longstaff loses out to Billing, though, and he stretches out a telescopic leg to try and turn the ball forward towards Solanke, but Botman was always favourite to get there first. Longstaff, Trippier, here comes Gordon now on the right-hand side. Opportunity to get forward. Anthony closes him down. He does a little Cruyff turn and moves it forwards to Almiron. Taken away from him by Billing, but only to Longstaff. Into the centre circle here for Botman. To his centre-back partner, Fabian Schär. Longstaff brought down there by Traore. That is going to be a free kick for Newcastle. Just advance of the centre circle. And a chance for them to get the ball forward, you would have thought. Pretty much dead central position for Trippier. Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 0. What's Trippier's delivery like? He bends it out wide. Did that come off of Lerma? No, I think they decided to keep it in because they weren't totally sure. Sam Maximan, there's the delivery, and it goes away from Senesi. Then Ouattara fighting Trippier for it. Trippier wins it. Sam Maximan tries to go on one of those slaloming runs, gets it back from Isak into the centre of the area. It goes away by Billing, only as far as Gordon. Billing again with the challenge on Longstaff. Wins it, but it runs loose for Schär on the right. Trippier still in the centre of the field, gives it to Gordon. Bit more realistic money, I thought, the January fee for Gordon than they were talking about in the summer when it was sort of more like 60, wasn't it? I realise you're paying for potential, but I'm not totally sure he'd shown 60 million levels of potential.
No. But it's interesting though, because it was an official bid, wasn't it? Or was it Chelsea?
Yeah, I think so. They turned down 60.
Yeah.
Ball out to the right-hand side for Newcastle for Almiron. Bit of space as well. Almiron tries to give and go with I think it was Longstaff, was it, in the midfield, and gets it back, and it's just two red and black shirts managing to keep out four white shirts in the little quadrant on this near side. Now Almiron tries to go. Zamora just absolutely bashes that into touch. Newcastle take the throw quickly. Here's Sam Maximan coming in field. Four red and black shirts converge upon him, and they come away with the ball. But Joe Linton with the tackle. Bounces to Schär. Now here is Botman. And it is, you can absolutely see the way that Newcastle try and play, because you talk about Trippier getting the option to get forward. He did so just again there, and here's Gordon now. Is he brought down? Is that a foul? He's rolled around 4 times.
That normally gets you at the foul, doesn't it? 4 times, a 4 roller?
Anyone that claims that it's not, that it's only, non-English players that are brought diving to the Premier League, is just rubbish, isn't it?
Let's have a look.
Absolute rubbish.
Oh,
well, there was a bit of contact.
There was a bit of contact.
Don't have to roll around 87 times.
It's not a 4 roller.
Pathetic.
Never.
Absolutely pathetic. If it's a throw to Bournemouth. Purely because I don't like the roll, I'm happy that that's the way it went. Zamora will take. I don't like the injustice, but equally, don't try and con people. Don't make it worse than it is.
But he might actually. He might help Trippier, who's been a bit isolated down that right-hand side. He certainly needs a bit of help.
Yeah, the point I was going to make about Trippier is, when they've got the ball, Trippier goes high and then Byrne just tucks in, because he's not a left-back, Dan Byrne, is he? Tucks in, they go to 3 at the back, effectively. You see it so often in modern football. As Isak can't win the header over Senesi, it's going to drop to Lerma. The two that combined for the goal, technically, for the assist, and then Solanke's done brilliantly there. But Trippier got across just as he tried to release his man, Traore, and then Joe Linton coming in as well. Joe Linton, left-footed, spreads the ball up towards Alan Saint-Maximin. That's a fabulous left-footed pass as well. Saint-Maximin, into the area he goes. And it was an easy header away by Senesi before it reached Gordon. Picked up by Traore. And then Adam Smith booms that one away, taken by Ouattara. He's tricky and nifty as Ouattara, and he turns away from Longstaff as well. Can he slip the ball into Anthony? Can. Anthony turned it towards Solanke. It was behind the striker, and Byrne was able to stretch out a leg and take it away for Newcastle.
Solanke's been the best player on the pitch. They can't deal with him at the moment. No one knows who to pick him up, and he's got Billing behind him, backing him up. Those two players are the difference in this game at the moment.
So important for Solanke to come back today from a knee problem. And, of course, signed by Eddie Howe for Bournemouth from Liverpool. £19 million. Scored 4 goals for them in 46 games under Eddie Howe. It's a pretty poor return, isn't it? But he's
put him in
an important player. Oh, there's a good ball from Trippier. Again, it needed to be dealt with this time by Stevens. He's looked calm and composed to Stevens at the back today, where Senesi's kind of all action. It's quite a nice pairing, those two. Gordon picks up a little bit deeper for Newcastle. Then a forward ball by Cher. Won't find Saint-Maximin. Headed down by Longstaff for Isak. Byrne joins it. Isak. Saint-Maximin. 2 red and black shirts around him. Stevens emerges with it, and then Longstaff just flies into him. And then looks frustrated when he gets the foul given against him. It's poor, frankly. I think he's been awful today, I would say. I mean, what was that? Absolutely ridiculous.
I think that is purely frustration, because I can't remember the last time he touched the ball. He was so frustrated. I remember doing it as a striker when you're playing against teams who just keep the ball away from you, and you just feel like I've got to do something. I've got to make myself useful.
Yeah. Well, Erling Haaland does all right with 8 touches a game or whatever it is he gets. So Anyway, goalkeeper and captain Neto to take this free kick for Bournemouth, who are 3 minutes away from a half-time lead. 1-0. Joe Linton. Longstaff volleys it forward. There you go. There's a touch. Isak chased. Stevens calm again. Turns it away from him beautifully. And then goes long down the right-hand side for Solanke. Up against Botman. Takes it on his chest and then prevents the throw as well. But Joe Linton's in with the tackle. At TalkSport Live to join in with the conversation. Really enjoy your thoughts when you do get in touch. And photos as well. Tell us where you're listening from in photo form. We always enjoy that too. Almiron tries to play the ball out towards Isak, who's lost out there. Byrne picks up the loose ball. Isak up against Ouattara. Dango Ouattara. One of those players that Bournemouth are happy to spend really big on. £24 million in the January transfer window.
They've never been shy about splashing the money when they want to.
Here comes Cher. See that he was eyeing up a shot there. It took a couple of looks before he was absolutely convinced to do it. It was blocked by Senesi. Byrne picks up, hooks it forward. Isak runs over it, gets it back now down the left-hand side. Isak's shot is low and straight at Neto. Shot on target for Newcastle.
It goes down as a shot on target. It could have gone down as a pass back. But
it was a lovely give and go, wasn't it, with Saint-Maximin? Good interplay.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, that is a really, really difficult angle with 3 defenders standing in front of you, and it's the ball's caught under your feet. But again, it's a sign of the frustration. You just want to get a shot off. You just want to try and be useful.
There can't be many people in the world with a name more akin to their job than Neto, the goalkeeper. Absolutely fantastic. Cleared away by Stevens for Bournemouth. Solanke looked like he was being held all over the place. Why isn't that a foul by Botman? Run loose for Bournemouth anyway, so they're all right in the midfield with Zamora. Now Lerma. He's doing the Guimaraes role perfectly for Bournemouth, of course. So they do have that protection, and then the long lofted ball forward is really poor there by Senesi. And through it goes to Nick Pope, all in green away to our left.
Just on that with Solanke, and I think that the instruction has come from the Newcastle dugout now. Somebody please mark Solanke.
Yeah, do something about it. But still, I thought it was a foul.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here is Botman. Oh, that's given away by Botman, and here goes Ouattara down the right-hand side. Solanke trying to make up the ground into the box. Away it goes by Longstaff, and then, Traore went in on Joe Linton. And just for a moment, I thought he was going to get there first, but the pass away by Bird has been given straight back to Bournemouth. And here comes Ouattara, giving them hope. Bournemouth. Ouattara back to Billing, and now here's Zamora, who's dragged himself a long way wide and given it to Traore, but he's won it back, the Zimbabwean. Anthony was involved in there as well. Senesi tries to clip the ball down the line, looking for Billing. He gets that one all wrong. That was the pass of a centre half, if ever I saw one. Practically at least row K, I would say that was, and it's a goal kick. But what a chance again for Bournemouth to create something in the final third.
Yeah, it's great football. It goes out to the right and it comes right across the edge of the area. And Billing, he knows it's not right to shoot, so he just lays it, but he doesn't know who the person is next to him. And of course, it's Zamora, and he's not right footed.
No, he's very
and
he can't
take. He doesn't want to take the shot. But if it had been, it was. Oh man, it could have been 2-0. It's great football, though.
Yeah, they're really good football. I mean, to be fair to Bournemouth, they always played good football under Howe as well. So it's just trying to keep on that tradition. Here come Newcastle with Sam Maximan. There's a run by Longstaff. Sean Longstaff, what a save by Neto. Almiron rolls it home, and Newcastle are level. What are we, 75 seconds into 2 minutes of stoppage time, and it's against the run of play, but Miguel Almiron is into double figures for the season, and that is a really, really big goal to change the half-time team talks of Messrs O'Neill and Howe. Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1.
Well, Newcastle certainly seem to think he's onside. We'll see you with the replay. It's brilliant on the far side to keep the ball in. Gordon has some involvement as well. So Maximum cuts inside, and that is the first time Billing hasn't tracked his runner,
easily
and it's cost them dearly.
What a finish as well. Left-footed, goes back across the keeper, right into the side netting. Super finish. And I'll tell you what, I've been criticising Longstaff, but a great run, a decent effort, and what a stop by Neto, who didn't deserve to concede given the quality of that save with the strong left hand. But nobody following up defensively, and Almiron had... I wouldn't say a simple task of scoring because it was not an easy one, but at least he was all alone in which to try and do it.
It's one of those where it looks really easy, and of course it is usually, but when you don't have any confidence, you can easily miss them. He took it nicely.
Well, what an end to the half that was. Absolutely against the run of play of the first 45 minutes. As we see, is that Senesi who's walking around with
hamstring, I think.
What might be a hamstring problem right at the end there. It might have been what allowed Longstaff in at the end there. But Miguel Almiron has got an all-important equaliser 2 minutes into stoppage time, near enough, after Marcos Senesi opened the scoring. He is very much hobbling off. Wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him for the second half. Half-time score then at the Vitality. Eddie Howe will be delighted given the way this first 45 has gone. It's Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Previously on White and Jordan.
Well, we didn't budget for this money. Surely we want to
striker. Dave Kitson alongside me. This is Premier League Live, and it is 1 apiece at the break. Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall are looking very thoughtful together. Standing on a very familiar touchline, but on a perhaps less familiar side of that touchline, of course, at Dean Court, as we still like to call it every now and then, although contractually I'm not sure how much we're allowed to do that. It is 1 apiece at the break. No changes, it seems, for either of these two sides. So Bournemouth have Neto in goal, Adam Smith, Jack Stevens, Marcos Senesi and Jordan Zamora at the back. Dango Ouattara has been very impressive on the right, and Jaden Anthony a bit quieter on the left. Jefferson Lerma and Philip Billing in the midfield, with Hamid Traore supporting the excellent Dominic Solanke up top, and they immediately go forward from the centre, and Ouattara's ball into the box is good. Anthony picks up. This is a great chance, is it? And it was just taken away from Billing. Might drop towards him the second time for Traore's knock-on, and Billing can only stab it with his studs over the bar. What an opportunity that was for Bournemouth.
Oh, they caught Newcastle cold, didn't they? Not getting tight enough, allowing the cross to come in. It's good. It's a great header from Trippier up against Billing, because he's giving height away there, and Billing just sticks a leg out, helps it over the crossbar. But he's been everywhere. He started off the second half really as he ended the first.
Yeah, very much so. The Newcastle team is Nick Pope, the goalkeeper, Trippier, Cher, Botman and Byrne at the back. Anthony Gordon came on for the injured Joe Willock in the first half. He's alongside Sean Longstaff and Joe Linton in midfield, with Miguel Almiron right, Alan Saint-Maximin left, and Alexander Isak in the middle up top. Bournemouth took the lead through Marcos Senesi's goal on the half hour. But 2 minutes into stoppage time, Sean Longstaff burst through, forced a sensational save from Neto. And unfortunately for him, it bounced back to Miguel Almiron, who finished excellently to make it 1-1 at half-time. Free kick for Newcastle, which Trippier has taken from just inside the Bournemouth half. Headed away by guess who? Dominic Solanke on the edge of his box. It's caught really between Ouattara and Saint-Maximin there, and Bournemouth managed to whack that one away. Traore chases. Trippier's there first. Trippier gives it to Longstaff, and now here's Joe Linton back to Trippier, and Newcastle can build their shape once again. Joe Linton has it. Moves it to the left for Byrne.
I think just going into half-time, it certainly would have been Newcastle the happier. But I think in the narrative in this game changed massively with that goal, because Bournemouth were on top, no doubt about it.
Isak moves it to the right-hand side for Almiron. Miguel Almiron into Isak again. Back to Almiron as he stayed onside. Yes, Trippier on the overlap. That hit Zamora. Bounce back to Trippier. Into the 18-yard box right side for Gordon. Back to Trippier. There's the ball in. Headed away by Solanke into touch over on the far side. Down by the corner flag. Newcastle have the throw.
Just getting a bit bogged down, really, Newcastle. I think with Trippier, it's such a great out ball to have. As a striker, I'd just be asking him to keep putting the ball in the box every single time. He don't need to be too clever about it. It's just such a wonderful delivery.
I'm not sure anybody thought that he would have the career he had when he was at Burnley, and even perhaps when he was at Tottenham.
Yeah.
To go to Atletico Madrid, Champions League final.
Yeah.
Win La Liga, absolutely unbelievable. And now with Newcastle, potentially got more trophies to come, as the ball down the right-hand side is dealt with by Pope. Long way outside of his area, left-hand side. He has to sprint back in case the quick throw happens. But it is an extraordinary career. Scored a goal in the World Cup semi-final, of course, didn't he? With a wonderful free kick for England.
Yeah, I played against him at Burnley, and he was very, very solid. And he went to Tottenham. There's a few eyebrows raised, but £2.5 million. What a piece of business that is.
Yeah. Actually started his career at Manchester City, and you think some of the time, I like Kyle Walker as well, of course, but would they have ever needed to do that if they'd managed to keep hold of him over all those years ago? Here is a lovely bit of work by Ouattara. He's really been impressive there, but he's tackled by Joe Linton. Comes over the halfway line, a little slip by Almiron inside of him. Isak moves it left for Saint-Maximin, tries to run onto Almiron, who continued his run and was never going to get anywhere near that ball. Bournemouth have it through Neto, out to Jaden Anthony, up to halfway via Zamora. Going to come back at them though, Trippier. Longstaff. Share to Botman. To the left to Byrne. He goes left-footed long up towards Isak. Oh, it might have been misread by Stevens there. Isak picks up. Senesi just holds him off brilliantly. And Bournemouth can come away. And that's a nice turn by Lerma again from Longstaff. Longstaff beaten to it. Lerma can't quite release Ouattara though.
Well, I mean, Neto was in absolute no man's land there. I just wonder what a fully confident striker would have made of that situation.
You mean lift it over him?
Oh my goodness, it sat so lovely for him just to lift it over. He didn't even lift his head to see where Neto was.
Oh dear, what's Berg done?
Oh, that should be a yellow,
just
really.
Let the ball roll out of play and then he's kicked it away. It's got to be a yellow
It
card,
should be
it?
definitely a yellow.
He's not. He basically took his eye off the ball, didn't he? And he's allowed it to roll out of play for a throw. And then he's just booted it away in frustration. That's absolutely a yellow card.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point that Jefferson Lerma is making. And now Zamora as well. Throw in taken by Bournemouth. I mean, nobody particularly wants opponents to get yellow cards, but equally the rules are the rules.
Yeah. I mean, just because it's frustration at yourself and you're not kicking it away to waste time, it's like you say, the rules are the rules.
Trippier to Almiron. Mind you, you were questioning whether Trippier should have been booked for handball. So Almiron tries to cross. It got past Zamora, but nobody else. It's going to come out for Newcastle anyway. And here's Longstaff just in the box, trying to open up. Gets the shot away. It was far too easy and far too close to Neto.
I'll tell you what this game is missing.
Bruno Guimaraes.
You're not wrong. Honestly, just someone who can put their foot on the ball and pick a good pass.
Traore's moved the ball out towards Solanke. He's claiming he was pulled down there by Trippier, and he was. That surely will be a yellow card there, the first one of the game. Surely. If he's deliberately hauled him down, that's got to be a booking. I mean, it's soft. I don't know if it was, but I'm not sure it was a foul, to be honest. But no yellow card anyway. The referee is obviously watching a completely different game to me, Stuart Atwell. Absolutely bizarre. Yeah, Senesi's going to come off. We wondered at the break whether he would finish this game. He's looking in pretty poor shape now. He's just lay on the ground. So we are going to see the change. And the change will be Chris Mepham coming on. Straight swap.
It's a shame because he's been good. Scored the goal. He's been really solid. He's done a number on Isak.
Yeah, he certainly has. And as we said in the first half, there is quite a nice balance, isn't there, with him and Stevens in the sort of the two contrasting styles. He's actually Bournemouth's record with Senesi this season is far worse than without. Actually, near enough a goal a game more conceded when he's on the pitch. As Bournemouth deliver the ball from the left, it's headed away by Trippier into touch. Maybe Zamora to take the throw. So perhaps that strengthens them. Mepham, who lost his place in this game, making his 100th appearance for Bournemouth in all competitions now. Zamora takes the throw. It's taken off the toes of Traore, who was, of the two new signings on show, shown far less, I would say, than Ouattara today. Smacked away by Cher, bounces high. I think that is Mepham that it came off of. And is there a foul in there by Gordon? There is on Lerma. And it's a free kick for Bournemouth.
Well, the first half I thought had a fair bit of quality on the ball, but the second half, the quality on the ball from both teams has been awful.
Yeah, it certainly has. Quite kept up that same momentum. And I guess in a way, goals change games, don't they? Didn't have any time after the Newcastle equaliser. Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1. Bournemouth looking to inflict Newcastle's second defeat of the season on them. Amazing at this stage. Here comes the free kick. They're trying something off the training ground. Doesn't really look like it's going to come to anything. Zamora has it, but he's got two white shirts around him. And he's done brilliantly, actually, Zamora. And now Trippier, I think, will shepherd that behind. Zamora fighting for it. He got away from two. Never going to get away from the experience and quality of Kieran Trippier as a third. Goal kick to Newcastle. 54 on the clock. Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1.
Yeah, it's difficult to have a pop there at Newcastle for trying another routine off the training ground. I mean, they scored from one, but they're that close to the goal. You think, just put it in the box.
Trippier down the right. Looking for Gordon, tackled by Billing. In fact, it must have come off of him last because it's the Cherries that have the throw. They come to the goalkeeper, Neto. All in yellow away to our left. Flick header on. Over on that far side is by Anthony. Nobody anywhere near it. Sort of flicked it into the area that he would have liked himself to be, I think. Here is Botman now, inside left on the edge of the area. Linton, who's in that deep position briefly. Up it goes to Isak. Not shown his best, the Swede, so far today, as he tries to go down the left-hand side from Sam Maximan, but on his right foot, Sam Maximan can only lay it out for a throw, which Bournemouth have taken. Up it goes towards Solanke, taken off of him by Botman. It's going to drop to Lerma. Lerma into the centre circle for Anthony. Now Billing to Zamora, who's running behind Trippier, who got back. Not Trippier, apologies, Almiron. Absolutely superbly to just nick the ball away from him. And he's played that into the left-hand channel for Isak. Isak to Sam Maximan. Turns away brilliantly from Ouattara. Here comes Sam Maximan. Shoots! What do you reckon that is? Row
further
double
than the K
B,
before.
double C, beyond Z.
Yeah, I thought Longstaff got in his way. Just he does great, Sam Maximan. Once he starts coming across the area, I think that Longstaff just puts him off.
Yeah, it's just in his eye line, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He did stop, fairness to him. He wasn't sort of running beyond him. But, that's the Newcastle fans you can hear chanting the name of Alain Sam Maximan in front of an otherwise very, very quiet Vitality Stadium. That's not the home support making much noise at all. In fact, we're looking at the supporters right now who are just sat there looking a bit glum. It's 1-1 and you're in a relegation fight and you're playing a team potentially set for the Champions League. Should be pleased and you should be buoyant. None of that at the moment as Traore works it to Anthony.
I think that goal changed the whole dynamic of this game, and I think what it's done to both teams actually, it just put them in a bit of a tough spot in terms of the next goal is massive for both teams.
Eddie Howe folds his arms in his Newcastle hoodie, watching his team defend the ball away. It's picked up by Longstaff, and is there really a foul in there on Almiron by Anthony? I wasn't sure, but the referee has given it. Stuart Atwell seeing things that I'm certainly not. And again, this is the man that once awarded your former team, Reading, a ghost goal, didn't he?
He did. I wasn't playing, but I remember seeing it. Yeah,
it was,
absolutely bizarre.
If you haven't seen that, get on whichever search engine you use and type in Watford Reading ghost goal.
It is bizarre.
Ball goes nowhere near the goal, and he just decides that there's been a goal. As a Watford fan, I'm over it.
Yes, yeah, you sounded. Yeah.
Here come Newcastle with Cher. Botman. Burn. That's the first time I've ever revealed that on here. You can probably tell.
Is it? Who was it? Was it Shane Long who scored it? I'd love to know.
I actually don't know who they credited to. Here comes Ouattara coming forward. Nick Pope. That's actually a very good question. Who was credited with the goal? Not got a clue. Absolutely bonkers it was. Game finished in a draw, if I remember right. Or did Watford win it? I think Watford won it, so it didn't quite make as much of a scene as it might have done. Getting 3 points from that. Look, there's a real game going on rather than ghost games, and that's a lovely spin and turn away by Jaden Anthony down the left-hand side behind Trippier. Longstaff gets across, makes the tackle. He gets a bit of fortune with a ricochet, and he gives it to Joe Linton. Now here's Anthony Gordon with a chance to get his head down and run. Right-footed, slips it to his left for Sam Maximan. Gordon goes outside of him. Sam Maximan moving infield. There's Almiron out on the right-hand side if he wishes. He's going to just keep running, Sam Maximan, down a blind alley, and then he turns it back towards Almiron. It was a terrible pass. didn't quite know if he had any idea what he was doing there, did Sam Maximan. But he's got the ball again now, the tricky winger. He jumps out of the way of a Zamora challenge, gets the cross in, and there's Neto with the claim. I mean, you were laughing at that, and it was a bit comical somehow, but it's quite difficult to describe why, isn't it? Here comes Smith going over the halfway line. Gordon goes through the back of him, and finally we get a yellow card from Stuart Atwell. And it goes the way of Newcastle's £45 million man, Anthony Gordon. Very nearly the hour mark, and the first yellow card of the game. And he can have absolutely no complaints. Just came through the back of Adam Smith. He's been quiet, not quite had that impact going forward that, say, Trippier has, as Bournemouth look like they're readying themselves for another change.
The game certainly could do with some fresh legs, a bit of impetus from somebody. Somebody needs to get hold of the game, really. It is there for the taking.
It certainly is. I think Marcus Tavernier is going to come on. In the meantime, they've got a set piece of their own. It's dangerously put in, you know, and it's high over the crossbar by Byrne, behind for a corner. Remember the last corner that Bournemouth took, they scored from.
Yeah, it's a lovely ball, right where you want it as a striker, right round the back of the defence, backtracking towards their own goal. I think Dan Byrne gets a toe on it and does pretty well to steer it over the bar.
Traore to take. The right-footed in-swinger. It's low towards the near post. Lerma picks it up. I think they know that they can't touch it because they'll be offside. Well, they know he delivers another ball in. Just Traore. If you're wondering about the pronunciation of Traore, I'm going Traore rather than A because there's an accent very, very explicitly put on his shirt that is the opposite of the one that makes it A, as in a long-sounding E. It's almost the opposite. It goes short. There's another ball up towards Solanke, goes unpunished from a push. And Newcastle have it with Sam Maximan. Almiron's outside him if he wishes. There is Almiron. Cutting back onto his left foot. Always looking for the cross. Is it going to come back to him? Sam Maximan takes it on. Takes it to the byline. Cuts it back towards Longstaff. Bournemouth will just about do enough to get away with it. And here's Zamora. It's turning into an interesting, entertaining game, partly because of the jeopardy, if not necessarily because of the quality, as the ball bounces away over on the far side. And Newcastle will have a throw.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are changing now. One of them is that Botman is going right in on Solanke and nullifying everything that he does. He's not letting him have the ball whatsoever. And the other one was Isak from the corners now.
It was a push there, though, wasn't it? Again,
I thought
it was a foul.
push. Yeah, I thought it was a push. But they're definitely doing it. He's definitely been told to go tight on him.
Are Newcastle beginning to get that top six feeling that referees then start giving them decisions? Is this is this A, real, and B, is it happening for them?
Well, possibly, but yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's just easy to let the game flow. I think that referee is actually trying to do that, let this game go.
Marcus Tavernier is coming on. Jaden Anthony is faded, it's fair to say, as the game has gone on. But when Tavernier plays for Bournemouth, things happen far more. They go more than a goal a game when he starts games to when he doesn't. 0.17 of a goal a game. It's not good. So good to have him back from injury. He's got the most assists this season. 4. And we'll hope that he can have an impact again today. Bird turns it away from Ouattara. Traore goes towards Botman, so he moves it across to Cher. Tavernier has taken up Anthony's place on the left-hand side. Newcastle with just the one change, and that was enforced so far as Mepham slides it out over the far side for a throw. Still plenty of time for this game to twist. 64 on the clock nearly. Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1. Crossfield ball to Byrne. Back it goes to Botman. Longstaff. Sam Maximan's seeing plenty more of the ball at the moment. Sam Maximan towards the back post. Overhit. Behind it goes, goal kick.
You know, I've been wanting to say it for the last minute. They need to get Gordon on the ball. The pockets that Gordon is getting into are fantastic, and no one is getting their head up to give him the ball. And as a result, Gordon is everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. They really need to get him on the ball.
Yeah, it's easy to say that a player's having a bad game when they're not getting involved, isn't it? But if you're almost too intelligent for the rest of your teammates, it's very difficult because your coach is going to be delighted if you're taking up those positions.
Yeah.
But if you're not getting the ball equally, does he have to try and do something a bit more simple? Does he have to try and be on their wavelength rather than the other way around?
Well, maybe.
I guess I'm asking, can you be too good for your team?
Well, I think it's just a very simple tweak in the terms of Sam Maximin. Every time he gets the ball, he's running right across the area.
Well, that's what he does, though, doesn't he? He never gets his head up. He never has to.
He doesn't. But all he has to do is the next time, someone needs to say, next time you get the ball, head up, play it into Gordon. Let's try something different. It's not working.
Tango Watara is on the ground. Anthony Gordon's having a good old moan at him and at the referee. There's Longstaff, he's just trod on Watara's toe. He was going for the ball.
Yeah, he doesn't mean it.
If there was ever any talk of sort of red card or anything, that would be nonsense. But you can see what it's painful. It's the sort of thing that, in the days when we used to talk about metatarsals, that could have broken a metatarsal, couldn't it? A stud right on top of the foot. Yeah. They're so thin, the boots these days.
Yeah.
But fortunately, Watara is up and okay and hasn't had to have treatment.
It was always the boots, though, wasn't it? It was always the boot. It wasn't the 16-stone player.
Yeah, well, there was a significant change, I guess, in the technology around that time when we had the Beckham one and then the Rooney one.
Yeah.
As again, Sam Watara goes down under a challenge by Byrne. In the wars at the moment, game is going to continue going on around him until Stuart Atwell stops things now. Is this a ghost injury?
Well, I mean, what isn't up for debate is what Eddie Howe said to his defence at half-time. You have to get hold of these forwards, and you have to get tighter, and they're certainly doing that. This is an arm across the face. It doesn't look deliberate. I think Dan Byrne is just trying to block the run. He certainly does it, and he certainly catches his way. Certainly does.
Without want to highlight, any bad language, I think if we were just silent there for a moment, we might well have heard exactly what the fans think of the referee's performance. He has done his best to allow the game to flow, but equally, it has felt like he's missed a good number of opportunities to blow his whistle.
Yeah, well, the Newcastle's back four certainly ramped up the physicality.
Yeah, but you can be physical within the laws, and I'm not totally sure that everything that's happened so far has been within the laws. Watara is having a brief sort of check of his eyesight. This is effectively a concussion test, and he, if they were to substitute him, of course, there are concussion substitutes now. It could be that be done.
Well, Solanke doesn't know. He's just asked Dan Byrne, what happened? Did you catch him with a boot? Saying that he just puts his arm across him.
Oh no! Do you know what? Actually, I think he does catch him with his boot.
Oh, is that what they're saying?
I think once Watara has gone down, I think Byrne is running towards his own goal and maybe does catch his boot on his face. In fairness, having just seen it again, I actually wonder if that's exactly what happened.
Right, it's totally accidental. If it's running away
completely, yes, absolutely, yeah. No, that was just as you said it. I was watching it again and I thought, yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. That's exactly what's happened. But hopefully he'll continue. Well, that's a lucky ricochet from Gordon to Isak. What a chance for Alexander Isak. He's put it over the bar and his blushes have been spared by an offside flag.
Well, it's symptomatic, really, of the quality in the second half. He's just no composure anywhere on the pitch at the moment. He's offside. He is offside. But even so, he didn't know.
No, he didn't.
It's a terrible shot.
Player of his quality and, frankly, cost, you think surely he has to score the goal.
He needs a run of games, doesn't he? Like, not just 2 or 3. He really needs to find his rhythm.
I mean, he's been the big signing since the Saudi takeover. £63 million, 3 goals so far. Here's Zamura, high up on the left-hand side. Away from Longstaff he goes. Here come Bournemouth. It might open up for Tavernier. What a chance that was. And he's bobbled it straight at Nick Pope.
Oh, it's lovely football. It really is. 1 and 2 touch. And I think Joe Linton, he just tugs at Tavernier's armour and that puts him off and the shot ends up being bobbled straight into Pope's arms. even so, I would have expected him to done a little bit better. It opened up for him beautifully.
Well, what a chance that was. Newcastle now have it. Almiron, Trippier is going to carry on down the right-hand side for Isak. Isak turns in between two red and black shirts. Isak gives it to Byrne. This looks promising for Newcastle. Here's Sam Maximan towards goal. It goes. Keeper spills it. Gordon towards goal. Is it a corner? Somehow it's gone behind, and more importantly, somehow it's not gone in. What a chance. Neto stayed down. The most important thing, though, for Bournemouth is that it's not in there, Neto. Still 1-1. Goal kick.
Oh, well, it's the shot comes in. It's not a great shot. It would be such a simple save for Neto, but it's Stevens who puts a foot out, and then he thinks at the last minute, no, I don't want to touch this, and that totally puts off his keeper, who spills it into Longstaff. Gordon follows up. Neto's got a whack in the back of his head for his troubles. He's being seen to by the physio. It was a really, really good chance. I'm actually quite surprised Gordon's missed that.
Yeah, he really had to score, didn't he? I mean, Neto, a bit like the opposite end. That the San Maximan shot was kind of bobbled at him. But as you say, I wonder whether Stevens pulling his leg out didn't help him.
I think it totally put him off.
Yeah.
He doesn't know whether he's going to have to gobble this up or parry it, or Stevens is going to get one of those touches where you have to react. Horrible one for the goalkeeper. He actually does well in the end.
There's no doubt he adds real quality to this Bournemouth side. And you look down the 11 and you think that there's more than enough quality going forwards to get out of trouble, don't you? It's at the back you might wonder, is Stevens, is Mepham, is Smith a sort of Premier League defence?
Yeah, but it's these home games that are finally poised.
Yeah.
That always do for you if you can't get over the line, or, you start conceding goals in the last 10, 20 minutes.
He's holding that back of his neck and he looks groggy, does Neto. And if you're Newcastle now, you are absolutely peppering him, aren't you? Long balls into the box, crosses, shots. Have a right old go at him, because you can't be totally sure that he's all right. I mean, I hate that, because I always think if there's a risk, take him off. But I understand the game as well.
Yeah, well, it's like we were saying, every little advantage you've got to take.
There's an outstretched leg by Botman that Solanke goes over, and he does get a free kick this time. He's annoyed because I think he thinks that he'd been able to stay on his feet there. He might have been able to get himself away.
Yeah. But there you see Botman again. That wasn't happening in the first half.
No.
Solanke was having the run of this stadium to do what he liked, and Botman's not having any of it. Eddie Howe, certainly at half-time, he's had strong words with his back four, especially Botman.
It's worked so far, but Newcastle haven't been able to take advantage. Are they going to draw again? Here's the delivery in by Traore, away by Newcastle. Zamora gets his head onto it, drops to Tavernier. Traore moves it to Zamora again on the left. Zamora up towards the edge of the box, might set up for Traore. Instead he moves it out to the right-hand side for Ouattara. Can't take on Gordon. And Gordon, I think, has prevented the ball going out for the throw there, has he? I thought that perhaps the whole of the ball did. Yeah. No, it didn't look like it. But Bournemouth finally do get a decision. It has felt like most of the decisions have gone against them.
Yeah. It's better football from Bournemouth, though.
Smith takes a throw into the box for Solanke. All right-footed. Oh, the pass.
Just as I say.
Straight to the near side. And it's a throw in. He's got a smile on his face for how ridiculous that was. Couldn't just find a 3-yard pass to Traore. Ball is smacked up, perhaps more rather than out, by Botman. Then Longstaff and Joe Linton getting each other's way. And finally it's cleared by Cher up to halfway. Header with Isak not even challenging by Mepham. And that might fall to Traore there. And two Newcastle players take it off of it. Longstaff to Gordon inside left. Left foot in by Sam Maximan. Now Gordon tries to take on Smith, goes down, and that's a yellow card for Adam Smith.
He does well. He does very, very well. And that's first time, actually, that Sam Maximan has found Gordon. They've had a little bit of play down that left-hand side. And Gordon would have been away. We know how quick he is. Definitely a yellow card for Smith. I think he gets nutmegged in the process as well.
Yeah, he does. He does. And he's annoyed that Gordon went down, but it's the right decision.
Yeah, it's the old adage: the ball can go past, the man can go past, but they can't go past together.
If you're going to get in the Champions League, this is the sort of game you're going to win, Newcastle, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Don't necessarily play your best. Come away to a relegation-threatened side and get a victory. Trippier will take this. There's the delivery. Into the box it goes, headed towards goal by Botman. Up into the air and an easy claim for Neto. He sacks it near quarters. Neto manages to get the ball away. Touched nicely by Tavernier. Referee blows his whistle. Must be an offside flag, is it? Yeah. Offside. Newcastle free kick.
It's a shame. It was a good kick out from Neto and a nice touch as well. And Bournemouth had men forward.
Cher takes it. I'm reliably informed by a particular woman in my life that he's the best looking member of the Newcastle team. Fabian Cher.
Is it a tough competition or is it?
I didn't actually ask that.
Yeah, that would be the follow-up question.
I had a similar conversation with a colleague about Manchester City recently, and she went with Grealish, and she went with Laporte at Manchester City. I have to say, I looked at the squad and thought perhaps that isn't a tough competition. Who am I to judge? Long ball away by Neto is won by Byrne. It's going to drop to Saint-Maximin. Saint-Maximin into Isak. Back it bounces to Byrne. Here's Gordon on the left-hand side. Gordon moving in on his right foot. Takes a deflection. Going to bounce to Byrne again. Will he leave it for the corner? He will.
Yeah. Good decision. Now this ball needs to go in from Trippier. If I see a short corner here, I'm leaving. This has to go in.
It's been a long time since I've had a corner, Newcastle. Gordon's making himself a nuisance in the 6-yard box. Byrne is right in front of the keeper. Trippier, I think this is going into the box. There's no doubt the way he's looking. Here comes the delivery into the near post. Header away by Lerma, I think that was. And it's picked up deep by Saint-Maximin. He goes high up towards the box again. It's going to drop in. There's an offside flag up against Cher. There you go. Close up of him on our monitor. Are you having that? Perhaps not. Silence from Dave Kitson at the Fabian Cher close up.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just sort of thinking about that corner from Trippier and how accurate you have to be.
Yeah, whatever. We all know you're dreaming of your date with him. Away it goes by Neto. Go on, you can tell us about the corner. That is your actual job.
Yeah, no, it was a great corner. It was a fantastic header out, but it's at the margins. Honestly, it's sort of 3 inches lower, and Dan Byrne heads it in.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. As Gordon is out muscled there by Lerma, and it's going to run loose for Ouattara. Here comes Traore now. I wondered if there was an offside there against Traore, but right-hand side he continues. Benefit of the doubt for the time being. Ball goes played in. Hooked clear by Cher on the slide. And Longstaff clears away. Did Tavernier foul him? No. Still we go on. Lerma. Out to the right-hand side for Traore. Plenty of space here for a cross. Poor cross. Really poor. Ooh, but it comes off of Longstaff and comes to Billing. Billing can only lose out to Almiron, though. Almiron out to the right-hand side. Isak and Mepham in the tussle. Comes off of Mepham last, I think, and is a Newcastle throw.
Well,
Almiron has stayed down as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, at the last minute of plays, I took my 11-year-old son to his game today, and that was a very, very good impression of what I saw. It was absolute chaos. It just needs somebody just needs to get their foot on the ball and just play a decent pass.
It has lacked it a little bit, hasn't it? Joseph has been in touch, enjoying the commentary in the States while on a walk with our pup Benny in Philadelphia. Lovely picture of Benny with Dogman.
Oh, nice. Looks nice there.
I appreciate your objective perspectives on the match and stories. Well, I'm glad. That is our job. Guessing Newcastle will pull out a win. They don't score often, but they do when needed, he says.
I love the way the dogs just stare.
Dogs in Newcastle colours. And I just mean the fur. I'm not suggesting he's dressed. A couple of changes to tell you about here. Ryan Fredericks is coming on. Return for him for Adam Smith, who I think it's fair to say he's just beginning to lose his tussles down that side with the combination of Gordon and Saint-Maximin. So perhaps no real surprise to see that change. And we're also seeing Semenyo coming on for Bournemouth. And he's come on for... well, I'm disappointed to see Dango Ouattara come off. But Antoine Semenyo, a striker, coming from Bristol City in the January transfer window, given his first start in the last game. As Almiron has stayed down, is clutching his wrist.
Yeah, he may have fallen on this. Or he did take a heavy tackle a moment ago. I think he may have just fallen on this.
And we're about to see Jacob Murphy come on. I'm reliably informed that the intention was not that it would be for Almiron, but whether that changes now. I think Sam Maximan might have been about to come off. It's been picked up. And Jacob Murphy's on an iPad, just completing Angry Birds, I think. What is he doing? I've never seen this before. You often see them shown an iPad, don't you? But he's literally, it's like he's changing the tactics. I think Almiron is being substituted here.
I mean, you never know with these. He may have just I think he
fell.
He lands on it. He lands on his arm heavily.
Yeah.
And you just never know. You get a little hairline fracture or something like that. But
so Murphy on for Almiron. It was going to be Sam Maximan, I'm told, but Jacob Murphy coming on. It's interesting that as Murphy comes forward down the right-hand side, just protects it from going out for the goal kick. Cuts it back to Isak. Hits Mepham on its way through. That was a bit more conviction from Isak. Comes back out to Trippier. There's his cross in towards Gordon. Headed away just beyond him by Fredericks. Picked up by Byrne. Newcastle need a big 9 minutes here.
Yeah,
one apiece.
Better from Newcastle. They've sped up the play. Better
from Isak as well there. Finally looked like he was a striker with that shot on goal. Just went for it first time. Hit it true and clean. Just hit Mepham. Second half, all the chances are Newcastle's. There's a nice flick from the right-hand side by Longstaff to Isak. Surely the offside flag is up. It is.
Yeah.
Fredericks went in, headed that away. So Maximan went in with him. The two of them stay down. Fredericks gets himself back to his feet. Well, none of it would have counted. The offside flag was up.
It's the problem with that rule, isn't it? Letting it play out, you get stuff like this happening.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. In fairness, that was, the flag went up as they were going for the cross. So that wasn't that rule's fault. But it's a point I've made and plenty of others have made about the late flagging rule. That went up absolutely on time and quickly there. I was watching carefully.
Yeah,
that was not one of those examples. Eddie Howe looks concerned.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what St. Maximin's done. Looking at the replay, he didn't seem to fall awkwardly. No, he's holding his knee, I think.
He and Fredericks both went in with it, didn't they? And it's, you thought, potential for a head collision. Certainly not that.
He just jarred that knee on the landing.
Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1. And it is... when you look at the Newcastle bench, everyone's talked about the money and all of that. You definitely think that there's more to do, isn't there, in this squad? If they're going to be a serial, Champions League contender, I'm not sure a bench have done it. All right, Anthony Gordon, they've spent the money on, but Ritchie, Jamal Lewis, Ryan Fraser, Jacob Murphy, Elliot Anderson, and a 16-year-old kid called Lewis Miley. That's not Champions League bench, is it? I mean, you might argue the starting 11's not Champions League bench, Champions League quality. So he's done well to get them close.
Yeah, certainly, absolutely. I mean, I remember when the big money started going into Man City, even before the current ownership.
Yeah,
I think there was a Thai owner, and it changed hands, and there was lots and lots of money. It took them a long time. It didn't just happen overnight. I mean, I remember playing against them. They had Alanio.
Yes. I mean, you make your statement signing at the start, don't you, with Robinho? They do that. And exactly, similarly, Newcastle's done it with Isak and, I guess with Gordon now. But
it takes a
Chris
long
Wood,
time,
for example, was also in that first window, wasn't he? And you're going, oh, really?
Yeah.
But they needed, it's where you start. You start as a relegation threatened side.
Yeah.
Man City were in a better position than that, weren't they?
Of course. Just because the money comes in, it doesn't mean you can suddenly attract, the world's best. You've got to build up to it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see Elliot Anderson coming on now for Alain Saint-Maximin. And so in the last few minutes, 2 injured players. This could become quite a costly game for Newcastle, potentially still even in results terms, as well as in terms of the injuries. The Scottish midfielder making his 11th Premier League appearance, all of them as a substitute. So he will be desperately hoping that he can make a difference for his side in the last few minutes and make an impact and really get his career going with Newcastle. Just 20 years of age, the Scots, under 21 international. That was nearly away by Botman, straight to the substitute Semenyo. The flowing dreadlocked hair tied up behind his head. The ball is with Pope, away to our right-hand side. Took a little bit of time before rolling it out to the right-hand side. Share down the line. Laid off, attempted layoff there anyway by Murphy. Doesn't come off, and here come Bournemouth. And now Solanke, there's two in the box to aim for, you know. Botman's gone close. Basically done a marking job on him in the second half, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
Where
And he's done it well.
Solanke's gone, there he is. And he's taken it off him fairly there. And then Solanke, Billing, I should say, gets it back off him fairly. I thought there was a foul in there as well. Here come Bournemouth. Semenyo wearing the number 24. Tackled by Joe Linton. That, to me, looked like a good tackle. And he's given a foul.
I thought it was a foul. We'll have to see the replay to see
I
who's
think he
right.
got a toe on the ball.
Did he? And maybe he did.
It's a great tackle.
So,
Tell me he doesn't get a toe on the ball. He doesn't get a toe on the ball.
Do you know, it's not that he doesn't get a toe. He doesn't even get within a metre of it.
He kicks the back of Semenyo's foot onto the ball. Well, that's me. I'm supposed to tell you what's happened, and I've literally just told you something that hasn't happened. So I don't know why I'm being paid to do this. Anyway, 4 minutes from time. Bournemouth free kick, dangerous position. I should point out, rightly given free kick by Stuart Atwell. I've been blasting him all game, so it's time to give him the credit he's due. Lerma is down for some reason. Byrne is having a right old go at him. The referee's come across to find out what's gone on. It's none the wiser. Tiny push by Botman, couple of pushes. And then Lerma, yeah, he's fallen over from a little flick, hasn't it? Botman and Byrne is going to what are you doing? Well, look, Lerma got the assist for the goal, didn't he, from a free kick? And this set piece come up with anything? Is he going to go for goal? Oh my goodness me. What on earth was that from Traore?
Well, of all the things I thought might happen, that was probably the last.
You've got to give yourself a chance from that, haven't you? I mean, what's the XG of scoring from that free kick? I mean, it's 0.0 something, isn't it? And so on that basis, give yourself the chance. It's what Pep Guardiola does, isn't it? His whole philosophy was always about making the best chances rather than the most.
Yeah.
And that, he's just not going to score that. Joe Linton to Trippier. Try it when you're 4-0 up, not when it's 1-1 in a big Premier League game and you're in relegation trouble. Especially could be punished here. Anderson gets it from Trippier, moves it right for Isak. He's not even in the centre, Isak. Now from the right-hand side, Trippier's delivery. Header is away by Fredericks, not complete though. Longstaff keeps it alive, away by Mepham. Back in by Botman. Semenyo will pick up. Gordon gets in ahead of him and takes it off him. Done brilliantly. Byrne back to Gordon. This could be a really defining moment for Gordon for Newcastle. Instead, he lays it off to Joe Linton. Now to Trippier. Trippier's ball into the box. Headed away well by Stevens. Picked up on the near side, the left, by Murphy. Gets it back off of Anderson. Murphy trying to dribble his way through. And it's smacked into Rose Ed for safety by Stevens.
Yeah, it's good defending, but it's getting a bit nervy now. Newcastle can sense an opportunity. I think they're going to get at least one more.
Balance of the 90, a draw feels fair, doesn't it?
I think so. Yeah, certainly.
Anderson receives the ball from the throw. That doesn't always mean that that's the result you get. Gordon. Newcastle will be hoping that they can turn 1 point into 3 here. Gordon again, slaloming his way up in towards Anderson. He's gone down, no foul. Cleared away. Solanke picks up the clearance, though, by Tavernier is poor. And then Botman barges his way through and into one of the Bournemouth players who's gone down and rolled around quite a lot, which I often think suggests you're not that injured, but it's always the case. Let's see this now as we see Anderson's run again. trying to hold off Fredericks.
It's good defending.
Yeah,
It is good defending. No, I mean, there's not even any hint of a foul.
And in
just
fairness, he
crowd him
didn't
out.
claim for one.
No,
did he?
not at all. They just
One of
crowd
those
him
where your
out.
director shows you replays just because you might as well.
Yeah, it's good defending.
We're into the final minute of the 90, by the way. It's kind of flown by. He looks like a bit of a risk. He's a potential red card waiting to happen, Botman, I think, at some point. Because he does play on the edge, or at least he has done in this second half.
Well, he goes for everything, doesn't he? He's fully committed.
Neto's delivery was on by Solanke. Won't find Semenyo. Pope comes out to Byrne. That's taken off of him by Traore. There's loads of space in the middle. What a chance! Flicked home. Surely that's it by Solanke. Has it gone in? It must have stayed out. The tech hasn't told the referee it's a goal.
If Trippier has kept this out, it's unbelievable.
I can't believe it. I'm convinced that was in.
Everyone's stunned. No one quite knows what to
There
make
was a
of it.
Newcastle player down.
Absolutely bizarre.
How is that not in? It looked so far in, you wondered if the referee's kit is broken. Well, here we'll see it. So there was a Newcastle player down under pressure from Semenyo. Then it was given away poorly by Byrne. Ball in by Traore. I think he's kept it out.
He has. He absolutely has. It's
On the line
brilliant.
from Trippier.
It's brilliant from Trippier. He has absolutely saved his team. The ball's half in, half out. It's not a goal.
He actually ends up twice clearing it because his first touch is a control and it's still going towards the goal. There's been a corner for Bournemouth in the meantime. Taken, comes back out to Traore. Traore's delivery back in. Joe Linton away. Gordon clears. How on earth has Trippier just stopped Newcastle getting their second defeat of the season? Extraordinary.
It's amazing. I mean, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what Dan Byrne was doing. He got closed down so quickly and he took a bad touch and he sort of gave up on it.
Absolutely unbelievable. It was so cleverly left by Semenyo. And then Solanke with the flick from behind. I think he will have known Solanke claimed the goal, but I think he'll have known in truth that didn't go in.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that comes across, there's a dummy, and he cripes it towards the goal. He beats Pope, all ends up. Trippier reads it, and he's absolutely saved his team.
I mean, that could be Champions League winning, that Champions League position winning, as it were, by Trippier. You know, it could come down to a point. And it might be even worse for Bournemouth here because they're defending. Gordon gives it to Joe Linton, makes his way into the box, left-footed. Well, that's why he's not a striker.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that was, actually.
Should we give him the benefit of the doubt and say it might have taken a bobble?
Well, we have mentioned the pitch.
Left foot looped it, didn't he? And I don't know whether there was an intention to bend it towards the back post or whatever, but Eddie Howe looks sick as a parrot, doesn't he?
He really does. He really does. But when he sees that passenger play back and sees what Trippier's done.
Yeah, what you would say is that half his teammates had stopped playing.
Yes.
And Trippier literally was the only one that carried on. He carried on, stood on the goal line and stopped a certain goal. And you never know, it might yet win them the game because here's Gordon. Anthony Gordon, inside left, having more influence on the game since Sam Maximan's gone off. Gordon, in it goes to Anderson, spins and turns and moves it to the right. Trippier's cross, that's going to go behind, corner.
Yeah, nobody seems to want to take a shot, though, do they? They sort of want to pass responsibility. I thought Gordon could have got a shot off there.
Certainly Anderson could have done when it came to
Anderson could have got a shot off. He moves the ball along. Sometimes you just got to take a chance.
Although, don't say that to Traore. Because, as we said, he takes it a bit too literally. Trippier with the delivery from the right. Pivotal seconds at the Vitality. Trippier's delivery towards the near post. Poor comes back out to him off of Lerma. Time to pick his cross again. Lerma makes the block. It's half cleared. Tavernier heads it on. Joe Linton picks up. Murphy turns away from Semenyo. He's done brilliantly, Murphy, there. He could have easily lost possession, but he's helped his team continue this attack. Isak to Cher. Cher hangs up the cross. Goodness me, Botman went absolutely flying in there. He took plenty of man, and then Bournemouth will come away with it. Foul there on Tavernier by Joe Linton, who'll be booked.
Yeah, the first one with Botman really should have been a foul. He tried to attack the ball and got nothing but the man. But Newcastle are having a go, at least, but I just think on the balance of play, it would be harsh on Bournemouth if Newcastle nicked it.
They are. I mean, all points are precious. I know they're not enough points necessarily to get you out of relegation trouble, but against this Newcastle side with the record that they're at and all of that, yes, they're about to go 17 unbeaten. They're all-time joint record in league football, Newcastle, but they won't fancy this as the result they wanted today.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But now I think it's just a question of taking the point, don't do anything silly, and move on to the next one.
Would that change yet? Lovely feet in the midfield there for Bournemouth. And they come forward again here. Out on the right-hand side is Fredericks. Into the box he goes. That's off of Byrne. He's going to clear that one away and keep it in, or prevent the corner at least.
2 minutes to go. He's going to get one more chance here, Bournemouth.
Fredericks will take. About level with the penalty spot, this throw for Fredericks. Semenyo flicks it into the box, straight at Joe Linton. His pass out looks poor. One by Stevens. Here's Solanke onto his left foot. I think it's fair to say he's right-footed.
He is. Yeah, but you know what? It's good appreciation of where the game is at. Have a shot. You're on the edge of the box. This is probably going to be your last chance. You might just win it. Have a go.
Yeah, it's well wide. Goal kick. Official player of the match has just been announced as Philip Billing. Maybe over the 90. I think for the first half performance, you might have said Solanke, mightn't you? But
yeah. He's been good, Billing. They both have.
Yes, they have. Gordon's ball forward. Then Lerma knocks it down to Solanke. Barges Gordon off the ball. Former Liverpool against former Everton. It was former Liverpool that won it, but then he runs into trouble, and Newcastle playing up to Isak. This has been a man that really you wouldn't expect to win a game here, Isak. And again, just allowed Stevens to take it off of him, but Stevens can only take it out for a throw. Newcastle's ball. Can they? There's a yellow card there shown for time wasting for one of the Bournemouth players. I think it's Stevens. This is it, now or never. What does your Saudi money get you? Throw in taken by Byrne. Gives it back to Anderson, who's standing in an offside position.
Cannot be offside. Oh my goodness.
Well, that'll be that.
Yeah.
We are 5 seconds away from the 7 stoppage time being up. And I think that will be just about that. Newcastle are going to draw yet again. And it will not really do their chances of the top 4 the power that they'd hoped it would. Yes, it's a point gained over Tottenham, who lost earlier today. But Eddie Howe's homecoming at Bournemouth has not quite gone to plan. They were very fortunate to be level at the break. Yes, they were the better side after it. But really, but for a Kieran Trippier clearance off the line, it might have been even worse. Newcastle were behind to the goal on the half out from Senesi. They equalised thanks to Miguel Almiron's 10th of the season. But Bournemouth will be far more pleased with both performance and result. A costly one for Newcastle, who lost both Alain Saint-Maximin and Miguel Almiron to injury as well, with the League Cup final just a couple of weeks away. My thanks to Dave Kitson, who's been alongside me, Toby Gillis, for this one. It's been an entertaining encounter. It's finished Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 1. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Global events.
The priority now is collecting the evidence.